What's good? What's good, people? I know I am super late today. Appreciate everybody for coming if they do. Um, get right into it. Iran. Iran has not reopened the Strait of Hormuz. So the U.S. bombed the oil. I want to say they bombed the oil island, and then Iran retaliated and bombed the GGC or the GCC, whatever the fuck it's called. Let's make sure I'm saying it right. Hold on. Yeah, GCC. Yeah. So Iran bombed the GCC's energy. Forgot where it was at. So 20% of the GCC energy has been wiped out by Iran. So we're gonna see. We're gonna watch Nick break it down for us and react to that. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Welcome, and let's get right into it.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these mother like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok. All right, let's get right into this video with Nick and see what he is talking about. This happened yesterday, so we're a little late to the action.
And the big story tonight is how the war is now escalating. And the situation is this. As we have talked about, we are halfway through the third week in the war. We expected, well, I don't even know what we expected. You can't even really use that word. Perhaps the president alone expected that this would be a quick and easy war, pound Iran very hard for a few days, decapitate the leadership, and a crippled and wounded Iranian regime will very quickly wave the white flag and sue for peace. Whereupon the Trump administration can impose conditions on Iran's nuclear program. That was the idea. As you know, things did not go according to Trump's plan. The Iranian regime survived. The Iranian regime maintains its capability to launch drones and ballistic missiles, and they have used that capability to attack the Persian Gulf nations of the Gulf Cooperation Council, to close the Strait of Hormuz, a vital choke point for oil, natural gas, and fertilizer, which goes out into the Indian Ocean, and to attack and degrade U.S. radar early warning systems, and to attack the state of Israel. And so the war has settled into a second phase, you can say. If the first phase was the U.S.-Israel assault, bombing runs thousands of times in the first 12, 24 hours, bombing regime targets, decapitation strikes, bombing their navy, their military hardware and infrastructure.
And Netanyahu, what's so funny is Netanyahu already came out and was like, we don't get, we know we can't get regime change just from airstrikes. We know we can't get regime change just from airstrikes. We're gonna have to put boots on the ground. They like he already knows this.
Logistics, supply chains, things like that. Now the war has settled into a second phase where it has become an attritional war, and it has become a war of economics. The United States and Israel are using their air and sea power to bomb Iran all the time and continues to decimate its leadership, continues to find and destroy its missile production and missile launch capabilities. But as long as Iran remains intact and as long as they're able to launch drones and missiles, then they are able to shut down shipping in the Strait of Hormuz, which chokes the global energy supply, hurting the global economy, and they're able to increase the pressure on the Gulf nations by hurting their real estate, tourism, and other industries
which is the GCC that we
this
just
is the second phase.
talked
This
about
is
earlier.
The grinding stalemate. This is the status quo, attritional war that the conflict has settled into, as we've talked about. And so the question facing the Trump administration is how to break the stalemate. It can't go on forever. The longer that the Strait of Hormuz is closed, there is going to be a lot of damage to the global economy. It might even trigger a global recession.
Not only will it be a lot of damage to the global economy, what you guys understand is how quickly it will happen. It's not like it's gonna take years. Japan, without the Strait of Hormuz, I think, and then I forgot what the other canal is. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Forgot what this other canal is. Hold on, let me just do map of world. This canal right here, y'all. Forgot what it's called. It's a canal right here that the Houthis control, and guess who control the Houthis? Iran. So if they want, I they can shut this canal off too, because I'm telling you, there's a canal like right here that leads to the Suez. But yeah, if they want, they could shut this canal off too. But anyways, the strait being closed, um, I think the strait and this don't, because I want to say the strait being closed. This is how bad it is. The strait being closed, Japan economy lasts 7 months with the strait being closed. I think it's the strait and this, so I'm gonna say the strait and this hasn't been closed. I forgot. I don't know. I forgot what this fucking um. Just type in. Oh God. Oh my goodness. Okay. It's Mal and Gibraltar. Okay, okay. Let me see. There we go. Bob El Marib Strait. There we go. This is what I was talking about. Right here. The Bab el Mandebi Strait. Right here. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, basically. Um yeah. They control that. So if they control both of those, Japan's economy goes down 6 months, 7 months. Tops.
Energy becomes scarce, oil prices increase, and that increases the price of everything. Fertilizer supply is constrained. That makes costs for farmers go up. That makes food more expensive.
And the more Iran can piss people off in the economy, the more they'll be able to get help, if that makes sense. Like the more people they can make hurt, the more people that will want to help them.
So we are facing higher inflation. Perfect. There was an expectation the Federal Reserve, for example, would cut interest rates today. They're not able to do that because actually mortgages are going up. Prices are going up. Inflation appears to be ticking higher in anticipation. The economy is pricing in the long-term risks to the oil supply because of the conflict. So Trump is looking for a way out here. He's looking to break the stalemate. And there's, as we talked about, a couple of ways to do this. Either we have a truce and a ceasefire, and that allows the Strait of Hormuz to open up, and it relieves the economic pressure on the United States and the world. So that's one way to break the stalemate, is effectively a strategic retreat and withdrawal. The other way is we have to actually win. We have to force the Strait of Hormuz open, but this is a very complicated endeavor because the way that Iran has closed the Strait of Hormuz is now mostly with drones. Not even ballistic missiles, but with suicide drones. Iran has millions of them, millions of them. They're cheap, they're small, they're easy to produce, they're highly mobile.
And you don't expect a fucking oil rig to, or not an oil rig, but like a ship that's carrying barrels of oil to be souped up to fight drones.
They can be launched from anywhere, and Iran is making more of them all the time. And so, how do you prevent Iran from closing the strait? Well, you have to make it so that they cannot launch any drones. How do you prevent them from launching any drones? It is impossible. You cannot bomb all their drones, drone production. You cannot bomb all the places where they can launch drones. You can't kill the personnel that are launching them. The only way to stop Iran from closing the strait, it appears,
It's by stopping
is
the
to
war
topple the government.
or
And
that.
for a new government to come into place that orders the military to stand down. That seems to be the only way. And the only way to topple the government is to invade. It has been reported that the IRGC is actually 7 links in the chain of command deep, meaning that prior to the conflict, the highest ranking IRGC officials, they prepared 7 layers of succession. They have a second person, third person, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh person lined up in the event that they are assassinated. And then the next guy and the third guy and the fourth guy. So you can't kill everybody with air power and sea power. You can't destroy every place where they're storing, launching, and making drones. The only way to win is to topple the government, and you have to do that with a ground invasion, which obviously is off the table. So Trump is looking for a third way to break the stalemate. How do we win without retreating, without escalating? And what he is trying to do is find alternative ways to force Iran to comply. Why is this so difficult? Because right now we're bombing Iran thousands of times and killing all their leaders and destroying all their weapons. So you might say, what else can we even do? What else can be done to a nation? We're dropping tons of bombs on them. We're dropping 5,000-pound bombs, maybe bunker buster bombs on them. We're literally dropping the biggest bombs thousands of times everywhere, all day, every day for weeks, and killing the leadership. So Trump is looking for a creative way to increase pressure without escalating, to avoid retreating. How do you do that?
They're putting boots on the ground. I'm telling you. Netanyahu already said they're going to be putting boots on the ground. I promise
Well,
you.
as we've discussed, there's one thing that's been off limits. They're blowing up the Navy. They're blowing up the missiles. They're blowing up the regime. The one thing that the United States has left untouched is Iran's energy infrastructure. As you know, Iran is a petrostate, meaning they rely on the export of oil and gas for most of their government revenue. And so if you destroy that industry, which is not easily repaired or rebuilt, then you cripple Iran's economy, but you cripple it for years. So that's obviously, that is the one thing that we haven't hit yet. We've hit the military. We've hit the regime. We've destroyed their weapons. We've destroyed the headquarters, the airports, air bases, everything short of the energy. Because even though destroying the energy would cripple Iran's economy, and it would take years for them to repair, so, be a problem for the successor regime, we have not hit it for 2 reasons. If the Trump administration bombs Iran's energy, then Iran will retaliate and bomb Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Iraq, and the Emirates' energy. They will bomb it. The Houthis will bomb it. Maybe the Iraqis, maybe Hezbollah will bomb it. It will be unavoidable. And so what we do to Iran will be visited upon the Gulf. And that will be catastrophic. Because in the end, all this energy infrastructure will be destroyed, and the global supply of energy will be chronically restrained. Chronically, I should say, constricted. So you have a fifth or a third of the world's oil, depending on how you measure it, whether it's by volume of oil that moves through a sea lane or volume of oil overall. You have a fifth of the world's oil that moves through the Strait of Hormuz, which is going to be probably for 10 years taken offline, as well as liquefied natural gas, of which Qatar makes a lot of it. And that goes to Asian countries, but also Europe is reliant on it. And of course, the global supply determines the price, so it affects everybody. If you have an all-out energy war in the Persian Gulf, you have a chronic energy shortage in the whole world. And like I said, because the infrastructure is destroyed, infrastructure takes a long time to rebuild. To rebuild a refinery, a pipeline, this takes years, and it takes tons of investment. And the question is, who then is going to invest? This is the same problem in Venezuela. We can't get Venezuela to pump more oil very quickly because, one, takes a long time. Two, who's going to put up the money with all the geopolitical risk involved? It's tenfold in the Middle East. It's going to take years. Who's going to invest? Who's going to put up the billions of dollars?
That's why Iran's strategy is so good, because it's literally making Trump have to do something in regards of either continue fighting and keep looking bad to everybody around the world, or end the fight and, humble yourself and go back to, being normal. Yeah, Iran just has Trump in a chokehold right now. It's really either or, because the economy is just gonna keep getting worse. So what I'm hoping, worst case scenario, right? What I'm hoping isn't going to happen is that he just uses his 4 years to do what he wants to do here, and doesn't care about the economy, and lets the strait continue to be closed and everything. But that would lead to like World War III, because niggas need this energy, like they need this oil. Like this oil is like detrimental. But not only is it just oil, it's oil, gas, food, water.
To do this. So if we attack Iran's energy, then they retaliate. In the end, all the energy infrastructure is destroyed. This permanently constrains the global energy supply, which means that energy is permanently high. That means inflation is permanently high. And this is something the U.S. economy just cannot stand. We already have chronically high inflation. I believe it's been since 2022. The Federal Reserve has not hit its benchmark, its target of 2% inflation. And there's a lot of debate about why this is. It could be because of quantitative easing. It could be because of COVID-era supply chain problems. There's a lot of reasons people say for the inflation right now. But this is the last thing that we need. So this would be permanently a problem for the U.S. and the global economy. So Trump doesn't want to go there. It's also a related problem. If we bomb Iran's energy infrastructure, even if they don't retaliate, that still further constrains the energy supply in the short term. And that's exactly what happened today. And we'll get into this. By bombing Iran's energy infrastructure, even in the short term, that constrains the global energy supply. Throughout the conflict, there has been oil moving through the Strait of Hormuz. It is Iranian oil, mostly going to China.
Yeah.
If you take that offline, there's just going to be even less oil in the world than there already was with the strait closed. And then you'll have the same problem in Iran, having to repair that infrastructure.
Which is why I'm like, prolonging this it would lead into countries going to war, because this oil is so important. There's not a lot of big oil. There's not a lot of just big oil reserves that countries have that aren't in the Middle East. I'm telling you,
it will take a long time.
Bro,
to
might
bring
start
that
World War III.
supply back to the global
Well,
economy.
Israel might start World War III.
And then, even if you achieve regime change in the country, it will be tough for whatever regime comes next to rebuild if they don't have their energy sector intact, if they don't have that infrastructure still in place. So for these reasons, the United States doesn't want to go there, but it seems like that is the linchpin. And this is why Trump has shifted tactics starting on last Friday. On Friday, Trump launched a major airstrike on Karg Island. Karg Island is an island in the Persian Gulf off the coast of Iran. That is where 90% of Iran's oil exports move through. Iran gets the oil on the coastline and in the Persian Gulf, refines it on the Iranian mainland, and then ships it out to the island via pipeline, where it gets picked up by tankers and then taken out of the Persian Gulf and through the Strait of Hormuz. So this is the hub for virtually all of Iran's oil.
Yeah.
This is the critical center of Iran's energy sector. And Trump bombed it on Friday, but only the military targets. Now, on Friday, I speculated that maybe that was in preparation for a invasion, for a ground force moving in and seizing the island. And that way you get a little bit of both. You're able to take control of Iran's energy without destroying the infrastructure. And so you can deprive them of the revenue without actually setting back in a permanent way the global supply of energy by destroying the infrastructure, which would take years to rebuild. That being said, an invasion of the island would be extremely difficult because it is within range of Iran's drones and missiles. So any amphibious assault on the island would surely be repelled by an Iranian drone and missile salvo launched at the Marines trying to land there. So I said on Friday, perhaps this is a gesture that indicates to Iran that if they don't open up the Strait of Hormuz, then the United States might attack the energy infrastructure on Karg Island. So
I'm trying to think.
the attack by bombing the military infrastructure, but not the economic energy infrastructure.
I think today they bombed
Trump is
the
threatening
infrastructure.
Iran and saying, we will do it. Maybe this is too close to for comfort for you. If we're going to bomb the military infrastructure on the island, maybe the next strike is the energy. And the Iranians definitely don't want that to happen. So maybe that makes them uncomfortable. Maybe that makes them more willing to negotiate. Now, over the weekend, Trump made a pitch to the global economy. He made a pitch to the world community and said, look, everybody is affected by the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, and some more acutely than others. And what he's talking about,
basically begging everybody for help. Help, please help me. You know, you guys, you want your oil too. If you want your oil, you got to come fight with me.
About there is that most of the Persian Gulf oil and gas doesn't actually go to the United States or Europe. Most of it actually goes to Asia. It goes to India, China, South Korea, Japan. Most of it goes to the Indo-Pacific region.
Japan got 7 months.
And so Trump says over the weekend, look, there is a global energy crisis. It is bleeding the United States. There's a lot of problems in the long term if we don't open up the strait. And so Trump tries to expand this to other stakeholders and says, why should we alone bear the burden of solving this problem and reopening the strait? Asia will be affected the most. They won't get the oil and gas from the Persian Gulf, so maybe they should actually help us open up the strait. They should lend their navy and their military for an allied coalition joint operation to open up the strait. He also called on NATO and said, hey, we supported your war in Ukraine. Now it's your turn to help us in the strait. And by the way, this is humiliating. This is embarrassing. Why are the Asian and European countries not going to help us? Well, they didn't start the war. So yes, Asia is worried about the constrained energy supply. And yes, Europe is worried about the effect on the price of LNG and the price of crude oil. At the same time, Europe is fighting a war against Russia. And Asia doesn't want to join a fight that really has nothing to do with them at all. This is not India's fight. It's not Japan or South. That has nothing to do with them. So Trump is effectively begging all of our allies to help us finish a war that he started. So what happened to this America alone? We have all the cards. We're the boss. We're the only country in the world. We're the king of the world. Trump went in, thought he could win quickly and easily, found out the hard way it wasn't going to go down that way. Now he's in the position of literally begging objectively inferior, weaker militaries to come to our aid and assist us, begging the United Kingdom, begging Germany, Japan, South Korea to come and help. As we talked about on Monday, over the weekend, all the countries rejected this appeal. First Japan, then Australia, South Korea, then all the European countries, France, Germany, Italy, the UK, the European Union, Poland, they all came out and said, this is not our war. That's not in the cards for us. We've ruled that out. You started it. You finish it. So Trump then says on Monday, you know what? We don't need you, which is the best. I mean, that really encapsulates everything about this administration and about this whole conflict. So Friday, he says, we're going to have a great coalition like it's a done deal. We're going to open up the strait. Everyone should and must help us. Everybody rejects
and nothing happened
publicly and outright and forcefully. So then he's forced earlier in the week to say, well, who needs you anyway? We don't need your help. We'll do it ourselves, and we'll just remember that. Truly pathetic. So today is Wednesday. This is why the timeline is so important here. On Wednesday, today, Israel launches a major strike on Iran's gas fields, the Southern Pars gas field. Iran immediately retaliates, and they bomb Qatar's gas, the Emiratis' gas, and Saudi Aramco, their oil refineries. And what happens? The price of oil surges to $120 a barrel. It had stabilized. I said this, I think, yesterday or on Monday. The price of oil had stabilized at around about $90, $100 a barrel. This is after it spiked past $100, not last weekend, but the weekend before that. Today, oil exploded, even though Trump is trying to contain that, trying to contain the price shock by opening up these strategic oil reserves, changing.
About a G7, I think. Yeah. But even if they do that, they have to have oil to replace the oil reserves. That makes sense. So no, even if they use the oil to replace the oil reserves, the price isn't really going to go down because there's no oil to replace it.
Some regulations allowing Venezuela to export more oil. In spite of all of his efforts to limit the effects of the supply shock, now the oil has exploded because the war has entered now a third phase where we, the U.S. and Israel coalition, are openly targeting Iran's energy infrastructure, and they are responding in kind. Now, this is a story from the Wall Street Journal about the strike. It says, quote, Israel struck the giant South Pars gas field that Iran shares with Qatar, by far the largest in the world. Iran quickly retaliated with an attack on a major gas hub in Qatar, just across the Gulf, and a missile barrage fired at the Saudi capital, Riyadh, with debris landing near a refinery. Israel and Iran had already hit energy facilities throughout the nearly 3-week war. The Wednesday's attacks struck some of the world's most important hubs and raised the prospect of tit-for-tat volleys against oil and gas facilities. President Trump approved of the strike to pressure Iran to unblock the Strait of Hormuz. The official said Trump believes Tehran received the message and now wants to refrain from further strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. Days earlier, Trump considered whether attacking Iranian energy sites could be part of an escalatory campaign against Iran, hitting one target and gauging Iran's reaction. If Iran didn't cede to U.S. demands, there would be more bombings of energy targets. Qatar condemned the attack as a dangerous escalation and a direct threat to its national security. Benchmark Brent oil futures shot up to close to $110 a barrel, and European gas prices surged 6% in the hours following the news. Arab governments were furious about Israel's attack and the U.S. failure to head it off. So this is part of a strategy. Trump bombed Karg Island on Friday, not the energy infrastructure, but just the military assets. And the message was unmistakable. He was saying, if Iran doesn't open up the strait, then we'll target your energy. In the meantime, he made his plea to the world, help us militarily take the strait. They refused. So Trump moved in with Israel to then escalate it, and he went from Karg Island military assets to Iran's gas field in the Persian Gulf, anticipating then that Iran would bomb Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the Emirates. Now, why did Trump allow this to happen? Well, first of all, he knows that the only way to pry the Strait of Hormuz open without regime change or a ceasefire is that he's going to need to make it hurt more for Iran. The only way to do that is to hit their energy. And he needs them to be sure that he's serious. He needs them to know.
But no matter how much, but that's the thing. It's like no matter how much he hurts Iran, Iran is hurting everybody. They only hurting Iran. What they're doing is only going to be hurting Iran. Iran is hurting everybody.
That he will actually cross that line. So this was the strategy. Hit Karg Island, see what they do. They did nothing. hit one of their oil and gas hubs. See what they do. If they do nothing, hit another one until they open up the Strait of Hormuz. Now, why did he wait until today to do this? Well, what he said over the weekend is if Japan and South Korea and India and China, if they are the ones that are actually getting the Iranian oil and gas exports, then they should help us. If they won't help us, then we will hurt Iran's oil and gas industry. Because who will that affect the most? That will actually affect, first and foremost, the countries that actually get the oil and gas from Iran, which is China, India,
Japan.
less so Japan, South Korea. So Trump said, if you don't help us, well, we will be forced to take matters into our own hand and escalate. We will start an energy war that will hurt you the most. If we bomb Iran's oil and gas and then they bomb Qatar, the Saudis, and the Emiratis, who is going to be without oil and gas? Who's actually going to face the most acute energy shock? It's going to be the Pacific countries. And European countries, which are now dependent on LNG, they will feel the price shock as well. We're good. We're a net exporter of energy. Now, there's some complications. We still import a lot of energy for reasons having to do with our energy infrastructure, but we're not going to feel it as much as the Europeans and definitely not as much as the Asians. So Trump, by bombing Iran's energy, knowing they will retaliate against the Gulf, that is his way of punishing the allies that did not assist. He said, okay, if you won't help us open up the strait, we'll have to figure out our own way, and that involves hurting your economies. That involves hurting everybody involved. Now, there's a big question about who actually authorized the strike, because as I said, this is an Israel strike. Israel, in the early phases of the war, targeted Iran's energy infrastructure, and the United States told them, don't do that again. If you attack their energy in the future, tell us in advance. So when Israel bombed Iran's gas fields today, it was assumed that they had told the United States and gotten their approval.
Imagine.
And it was reported earlier in the day that the Trump administration approved the strike. But all of that changed in the evening. Trump put out a statement on Truth Social and said, actually, the United States didn't know. He said, we didn't know, and we want the energy warfare to stop, and that if Iran keeps bombing Qatar, then we will retaliate, but we're not going to attack Iran's energy any further. This is a statement on Truth Social. This is Trump. He said, quote, Israel, out of anger for what has taken place in the Middle East, has violently lashed out at a major facility known as the South Pars gas field in Iran. A relatively small section of the whole has been hit. The U.S. knew nothing about this particular attack, and the country of Qatar was in no way, shape, or form involved with it, nor did it have any idea that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, Iran did not know this or any of the pertinent facts pertaining to the attack, and unjustifiably and unfairly attacked a portion of Qatar's LNG gas facility. No more attacks will be made by Israel pertaining to this extremely important and valuable South Pars field unless Iran unwisely decides to attack a very innocent, in this case, Qatar, in which instance the U.S., with or without the help or consent of Israel, will massively blow up the entirety of the South Pars gas field at an amount of strength and power that Iran has never seen or witnessed before. I do not want to authorize this level of violence and destruction because of the long-term implications it will have on the future of Iran. But if Qatar's LNG is again attacked, I will not hesitate to do so. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So Israel bombs Iran's energy after Trump told them 2 weeks ago, don't do that again, and if you're planning on it, get our approval first. It was reported this afternoon that Trump gave Israel permission. Now Trump denies it. And Trump is telling Iran, look, you didn't know, but we didn't give permission. And so if you bombed Qatar, we'll grant that that was a mistake on your part. Trump says Israel will not attack again. But if you attack Qatar again, if this, in other words, becomes an energy war, if you've called my bluff, in other words, then we will go in, the United States will go in, and we will completely bomb your energy infrastructure. Now, what are we doing? So, what is going on here? First, they say Trump knew about it. Now, he says he didn't know about it. 2 weeks ago, Israel bombed Iran, and we told them don't do it again. Now they do it again, and we say, well, we had no idea. And what this looks like to me is that Trump obviously approved the strike, so he's just lying here. I think he's obviously lying. And like I said, I think this was the strategy all along. Hit Karg Island, wait and see. Our allies didn't help us. Iran didn't open up the strait, so we gave Israel permission to launch a limited strike on the gas field. Wait and see. What will Iran do? Well, Iran maintains the ability to retaliate. Even though the ballistic missile launches are decreasing, the drone strikes are increasing. And now there's hundreds of drones being launched every day at all these countries, at the Persian Gulf, at tankers. Speedboats are intercepting tankers in the Strait of Hormuz. So Iran retaliates quickly. And Qatar is one of the world's biggest hubs for LNG. As far as LNG is concerned, it's really just Qatar. It's not so much Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, the Emirates, Kuwait. It's really just Qatar. And LNG is in very short supply. It's a very hot commodity. LNG is how Europe has replaced Russian natural gas, which used to flow from the Nord Stream 1 and 2 pipelines. And so now they're dependent on LNG. Japan needs LNG. China, India, they need LNG. And so if this becomes an energy war, if we're trying to put pressure on Iran through energy, they're going to give it back in full. And they're really going to hurt the Persian Gulf. And that's going to hurt everybody. Because like I said, that is going to limit the global supply of energy indefinitely, oil and gas for Asia. And then that supply shock will affect everybody. Prices are going to go up, fuel and energy costs will go up, and the price of everything will then go up. And if the price of energy goes up, well, you can forget about AI, which is dependent on compute, I don't know how to pronounce compute, I guess, which is the ability of computers to do AI. And our whole economy is growing.
Yo, Handra, I see what the follow.
In other words, there's this contagion effect. This is going to spiral out of control very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. Like Nick is saying, this this energy war is gonna get crazier and crazier because the more infrastructure that's hit, the more dangerous the more infrastructure that's hit, the more dangerous the economy is gonna get, and the more volatile either Iran or US is going to get. So, and they just bombed the gas. They just bombed Iran's gas. Israel. They said that Israel bombed Iran's gas, and then Iran bombed Qatar's gas. So, yeah, bombing the energy. The problem with the problem with bombing energy is that it doesn't just affect Iran, and that's what I was saying. Literally, I was saying 30 seconds ago. We might bomb Iran's energy, and it affect everybody kind of because they get energy from Iran, but we're the ones who look bad. Okay, we look bad because we're the ones bombing Iran and we're taking energy from everybody. Whereas when we bomb Iran, they don't look bad when they bomb us back. They just look like they're defending themselves. So after a certain point, it's just gonna be like I said, it's gonna be World War III. It's gotta be. That's the only exit I can see. If everybody's bombing energy and resources and strait is closed and nobody can get energy, economies are dying. That's all I can really think of is but could they even afford to go to war after a certain point? So that's why I see why it's like, because America, like Nick said, America's gonna be fine, but it's the Asian Pacific countries that are gonna really be hurting bad.
What's up, man?
And now we're gonna watch Myron cook these niggas at University of Florida again, cause we don't want to watch nothing. We don't. I just wanted an update on what was going on. They bombed Israel bombed the gas. Iran retaliated. Trump said, "Don't do it again." Of course. Uh, but yeah,
Man.
Hey, nice to meet you, Myron.
You.
I had a couple things I wanted to mention. First of all, I think you contradict yourself a decent amount.
Sure.
You had mentioned that you wanted to repeal the 19th Amendment, and then
Yep.
your reasoning for that was that women don't have skin in the game.
Yep.
However, when someone had mentioned if your thoughts would change if women did have skin in the game, for example, that they would be accepted into the draft, you said that you wouldn't want women in the military.
You weren't listening. I said that if they had some type of government service or whatever, then obviously, I think at that point, then yeah, them being able to vote would make sense because they have skin in the game.
Okay.
But in general, most women don't have skin in the game, so that's why I don't think most of them should be able to vote.
Don't
I
you
think for men, it's given. For women, they have to earn it to vote.
Don't you think instead of repealing the 19th Amendment, it would make more sense to let women get this skin in the game? These
uh,
government services?
we are though. That's like we are letting them, and they don't want to do that. That's the point.
Well, the problem is that a lot of the times they don't. Women overwhelmingly choose career fields that are social in nature, right? They don't necessarily deal with certain job fields that the government might require.
But you don't promote them either. Like,
I'm sorry?
You don't promote this. Like, why isn't this part of your platform?
Why would why would he promote women to work government jobs? What the fuck?
Why do women choose these careers?
Why don't you promote women not choosing these careers and instead choosing government services?
I do. Well, here's the thing. I do, but the reality is that women just are interested in different things than men a lot of the times. So what ends up happening is like they just choose certain career fields because that's what they want to do. Because we're inherently and biologically different.
Okay, then the other contradiction I wanted to point out was that you complain a lot about women not being smart. You say they're dumb. And then you say that...
I don't feel like that's let me not say Phil. I don't think that's a complaint. I would say that's an observation.
they should limit their education because their primary role should be in a family.
Just a fact.
You're totally mischaracterizing every single position I've given. I don't think you've been listening.
Could you elaborate then?
Yeah. What I said was I don't think women should be prioritizing education over the pursuit of a man and a family. That's what I said.
So they should still be educated?
I'm sorry?
They should still be educated.
Look, I don't have, like I said before, I don't have a problem with them, you know.
I don't care. If you want to go get a education, go get your education. But if it's going to be in the detriment of, just don't put your man on the back burner. That's it. Like, don't think your education is what's going to get you the happy life. It's the man that's going to get you the happy life.
Attending school and having some kind of backup, but the problem is that that becomes the primary focus. That's my problem with it.
Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to mention was how I'm not trying to mischaracterize your argument, so
Yeah, it's okay. It'll only be the third or
correct
fourth
me if
time.
I'm wrong. You had said that women who are promiscuous, that's the reason that they deserve less because they're slutty
Absolutely.
and they sleep around.
Never wife of whores.
So would you agree that people who don't do that don't deserve less?
Women that aren't promiscuous?
They
So
deserve
regular
just as
girls?
much as men, yeah.
Yeah, they still deserve less too. Yeah, they still deserve less too. And the reason why I say this is because
They just might not deserve as less as the bitch that's promiscuous.
I don't want guys to fall into the trap and be a simp. Look, this is going to sound fucked up, but I'm going to say it. Women are terrible fucking people when they have leverage over you in a romantic relationship. I'm going to say that again. Women are terrible fucking people when they have leverage over you in a relationship. I'll give you an example. Let's say you move in with a girl, right? You're staying at her spot, you're crashing there, whatever. You're not paying any of the rent, she's trying to help you out, whatever. As the days progress, she's going to become more annoyed, more bitchy, and agitated with you. Rightfully so, because women don't respond favorably to lazy men, okay? Because their attraction circuitry is based around a guy that can provide security. You sleeping on her couch every day is inherently going to turn her off. Now, let's flip the roles. Let's say you have an apartment and she crashes at your spot, right? Are you going to get as annoyed with her as quickly? Probably not, because men have far more tolerance for creating resources for women and children than women do, right? Like, men are designed to create excess resources, not just for themselves, but for their family. Women aren't built that way. So, and this is something that a lot of guys, like, don't understand. And they buy into this egalitarian mindset that men and women are the same. They're not, dude, at all.
And like, where are you getting this information from? Like,
It's a biological reality.
You think women are just naturally less tolerant to putting up with people's stuff?
Go ask any girl you talk to. If you was working, y'all can go ask any woman. Say, hey, while you working, can I come stay with you and you pay all the bills and I'm just chilling while you do that? She's gonna say fuck you, nigga, and she might even slap you. She's gonna say fuck you, might slap you, might spit on you. All right. Y'all are really fucking stupid, bro.
Yes, women are far less tolerant of incompetent men that can't produce and protect and provide.
Do you have any
Yes.
studies for that? Or
What was that?
Do you have any studies for that, or you're just pulling that out of nowhere?
I mean, it's a biological fact. You can countless psychology books on this. Women prioritize security, right? And men prioritize replication. So women prioritize survival value from the guy. Can he protect and provide for me? And then men prioritize replication value. Is she hot? Very simple.
But it was nice
I mean,
talking
let's
to
be
you.
honest here, dude. When you're out with a girl, like, if she tells you, like, if you meet a girl and she's like, you ask her, hey, what do you do for work? And she says, oh, I'm unemployed or I'm homeless. Like, are you really going to give a shit? No. If she's hot, you're going to still try to bang her. But if you flip the roles and you tell her you're homeless, she's going to lose an enormous amount of attraction for you.
I'd hope that most men wouldn't want to marry someone who's unemployed.
You're missing my point.
What?
Like,
I think it
you're-
applies to both sides.
What I'm trying to say is that your ability to provision is a large part of what makes you attractive, and a woman's ability to provision, we don't give a shit. No guy ever says, what's your degree? Oh, you got a master's? My dick is hard. No guy ever. No one cares.
And he's laughing.
It was nice.
He's laughing because he knows it's true. Like, that's why he's fucking laughing. He knows it's fucking true. He's like, yeah, I know. I've never gone up to a girl and be like, damn, you have a fucking PhD in science. Oh my God, it makes me rock hard. No, you saw how good she looked, and that's what made you rock hard, brother.
Nice talking to you.
Hey, it's the truth, man. Any feminists that disagree, don't like what I said or anything else like that. For those of you that just joined in, here are some of my stances. Myron Gaines, one half of the Fresh Fit podcast. Number one, women are dumb. Jews run
I want to ask to
and traineeship crime.
what's up, Myron? I think I want to go back to the women in voting issue. So
Sure.
this question has been asked before, but I want to ask you again just to make sure. You think if women were included in the selective service that they should be entitled to have the right to vote?
Well, I'm not a fan of women being in the military at all,
Yeah, but
Honestly.
assuming that,
especially in combat roles. Maybe support, but not combat at all.
yeah, but assuming that they were, the liberal agenda.
Healers.
We can make, yeah, like at that point, we can make exceptions because obviously at that point it's earned.
Yeah. Okay, then what about men who are on the selective service list, but because of some life circumstances or disabilities, for example, they'll never actually serve, so they don't really have a stake in the country in the way that other men who might serve do?
Well, I mean, that's for the military to decide. You know, they can bring you in and evaluate you and then decide if you're fit for duty or not. That's kind of their
Yeah.
thing. But the point is that you still have to, you know, so put yourself into the selective service at 18.
Do you think that those men who have no chance of ever actually serving, that they deserve the right to vote? If so, why?
More of a right than women do.
Why is
Because they have
that?
skin in the game automatically. If you don't enroll in the selective service, there's consequences for that. Significant consequences.
Yeah, but these men will never actually serve a day of combat or support role because of some life circumstances or something. So how is that
Again,
having skin in the game?
That's a case-by-case situation, but regardless, they still have to be in the selective service, which means by definition they have skin in the game. Now, are there going to be some exceptions and nuanced examples like you're trying to present? Sure, but in general, men must be in the selective service, or there's serious financial and criminal consequences for that.
Yeah,
Women
sure.
don't.
I don't think that just being in the selective service, if you're never going to serve a day in your life, counts as having skin in the game. But
It
let's
absolutely
move on
does,
here.
because if you're not in it, you lose opportunities.
Why does that count as having skin in the game?
Okay. If you don't enter into the selective service as a guy and at 18, opportunities are closed on you, versus women don't have to deal with that. So you have skin in the game by default,
Yeah, sure, but you're not buying into America in any meaningful way.
which you
in
can
that
be is the
case.
point.
Yeah, but if you're like,
So you by you going into selective service, by definition, you have skin in the game.
okay, sure, we can just agree to disagree here. Let's move on.
Okay.
What about buying into the country in other ways? For example, women pay taxes, and I think it's reasonable to say that someone who pays taxes has enough skin in the game to deserve what happened, to deserve a right to determine what goes on in the country.
It depends.
What do you mean it depends?
It depends. On every situation is going to be different. Like I said
Not bro came up here and actually had some good questions.
before, it depends on what their service is. If they just have like a regular job or whatever, and they're paying taxes, I still think, basically, my position is this: we got to go back to a patriarchy that isn't cucked.
Okay.
We have a gynocentric patriarchy where men are responsible for everything, but they don't have any real authority, versus women are not responsible for anything, but they have all the same authority. That's my problem.
I think women who pay taxes, work their own job, are bought into the country enough to deserve a right to vote. I think that's...
Okay, we can agree to disagree then.
Okay,
I gave you
sure.
my positions. I don't think they have skin in the game, which I established with selective service and other things. You think that doesn't count, but that's fine.
Yeah, sure. One last thing, I'd like to announce that on March 27th, we're actually having, I know one of your close friends, Destiny, here at UF2.
Was that the 27th Destiny is going to be here?
Yeah.
Cool.
Come into the Rights Grand Ballroom.
Nice. All right.
Okay, thanks, Myron.
Cool. I like Destiny.
That's insane.
Yeah, we fuck with Destiny when he's not fucking being a little cuck.
Think of this as double or nothing.
I'm not playing.
Where do you get your
Hey, what's up?
I was curious, where do you get your generalizations from? Because you're kind of talking
On what
excuse
topic
me.
specifically? I
Well,
said a lot.
yeah, I gotcha. You're kind of talking about, like, it seems like to me you've spoken to every single woman on the planet.
No, just most. This is just what. This is, guys. If you read any history book, this is just what men have and women have been doing since the dawn of fucking time. I don't have to get a fucking statistic generalization to tell you that men provide, women, listen, like women follow. Like it's not men are leaders, women are follow. It's not hard to know this.
Because
They have been the berry gatherers since day one, literally.
I know myself as a person, and I am antithetical to everything you're describing as.
Okay, so
being a
you would
woman?
identify as a feminist, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Okay.
I think women deserve rights.
Okay.
So my question that you haven't answered
go ahead.
was, how do you get your generalizations if you haven't spoken to every single woman on the planet? Because personally, I believe that stereotypes are incredibly harmful and not productive. Oh, yeah.
Incredibly
What-
harmful
you respond.
and not productive.
No,
I'll
go
let you
ahead.
finish
just
what you had to say.
laughed. Yeah, that was what
You're
I
done?
had to say.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, so this is another, like, progressive ideology that's kind of retarded, and I'll explain what I mean by this.
Okay.
Stereotypes typically are rooted in
Very
fact,
nice, very
right? Like, that's what it is, right? Like,
Very helpful.
if you're walking down the street at night and you see, like, 3 black dudes walking towards you with Nike fleeces on, you're probably going to cross the street because you don't want to get mugged, right? If you want to hire a lawyer after getting arrested, you're probably going to hire a Jewish lawyer, right? You know Asians are going to be good at math and do your algebra homework. So it's like,
So you've
there's-
spoken to every minority on the fucking planet?
okay, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule.
Right.
But the world operates on generalities. So that's just how it is. Actually, you know what? This is interesting. This is something that women have a tough time understanding, actually. I'm glad. This is a perfect example of what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
So women have a problem with generalities, especially if it doesn't apply to them. So, like, let's say, for example, I say something like, yeah, a lot of these girls are sluts, or a lot of these girls are dumb. A girl will say, well, I'm not. Like, okay, cool. But that still doesn't override the fact that a majority
Most of them are.
So
Goofball.
What?
y-
What is your
generalizations,
data?
generalizations is how the world works.
Right, but where is your data? I'm asking for where you get
Okay,
those
what specific point do you have a
generalizations.
contention with that you want me to?
I don't think all girls are sluts. Or
I
most
never said all girls are
I'm
sluts.
sorry. I don't think most girls are sluts.
A lot of them are.
Okay, I would love your argument.
Okay. So women, right,
Mm-hmm.
have way more sexual access than men do. Okay?
How so?
What was that?
How so?
Because women are still getting laid while men don't. So what does that show? That shows that women are having sex with the same small percentage of guys, pretty much. Like, their
But where are you getting
promiscu-
this information? Because I
There's
can
many
pull
different st-
anecdotal information out
There's
of my
many
ass,
there's many
too.
different studies that show this, whether it's like the Family Studies Institute or which deals with female promiscuity or whatever.
No, but imagine coming to a debate with no fucking phone or pencil or nothing, and niggas ask you, "Where are you getting this study from?" On it, obviously, if you don't know what the fuck is going on, you don't like. That's like I hate when niggas like, "Where's that stat from? Tell me the exact source of that stat."
Whatever. The point is, I'm trying to say is that women have more sexual access than men, and since they have more sexual access to men, they're far more likely to be promiscuous, and a lot of girls are promiscuous. Now, is that every single girl? No, but I do think that men need to adapt to the new normal where a lot of women are promiscuous, and you probably don't want to commit to these girls long term as a guy because that's going to create problems for you. because we've seen studies where the higher a woman's notch count, right, or sexual partner history, the higher the likelihood of divorce or a failed marriage. Because women don't respond the same to sex as men do. For us, it's like taking a piss. For you guys, it's like, you know,
The
a big deal.
emotional journey.
Okay, great generalization.
Because
So
women
what
have far
I
more
w-
biological investment in sex. You guys can get pregnant. We don't. So that's what I'm trying to say.
So what would you say to men committing the most violence and sexual violence in America? Like how does that play into women?
That's
like
a completely different topic.
how? So because you're talking about how, you know, woman bad this, woman bad that, woman slut.
I never said woman bad.
You actually
Do you don't think you're rhetoric?
all she asked was, how do you know most women are sluts?
Like perpetuates
That was the whole question.
Like you don't think
Turned
like,
into
the
an
culture
essay question.
of men are agreeing with your points and going out and making these generalizations of saying I hate women. Women
see-
deserve less.
Yes, and that's precisely what women respond favorably to. Yes.
Right. So that's your only generalization you're going to.
Yeah, women don't respond favorably to nice guys. So therefore, when you meet a girl
okay,
and you're
what-
seeing her, you
I
can't
would
give her
love
everything
your
and
argument
pedestalize her.
for that.
I'm sorry?
I would love your argument
You
for
just said
that.
it.
That nice guys finish last?
Yeah.
That's what you're asking? Like nice guys finish last?
Yes, I would love to hear it.
Okay. I mean, I think it's kind of common sense that
Okay, common
nice
sense,
guys
that's
get
not an
friend zoned.
explanation.
What was that?
Common sense isn't an explanation.
Okay.
Like, just get to the point, please.
Yeah. So here's the thing.
I have a job. I know you don't like that, but
You should be in a kitchen somewhere. That'd be a good job.
yeah.
But anyway.
See, like everyone laughing at that. Like, you don't
Yeah,
think that's
because
an issue?
because you're just not accepting like a very. This is like common sense.
Common sense.
Nice guys don't do that well with women because nice guys pedestalize females. This is repulsive because women don't want a guy that pedestalizes them.
So-
They want a guy that they're chasing the validation of. They want a guy who feels better than them. So if I meet a girl and I pedestalize her and give her everything off rip, that implies that I see her value as higher than mine.
How?
And that is completely
How,
unattractive
how
to
is
females.
treating someone with kindness? You're mistaking that.
I'm not
for-
saying that's-
Nobody's saying don't treat somebody with kindness. He said do not pedestalize the woman. Are you fucking retarded? That's what I'm saying. Like it's like talking to a fucking brick wall. Like you're like not listening at all.
Simping.
I'm not saying not to be kind. I'm saying don't give her the world and be a simp. Big difference.
What do you see as giving a girl of the world?
Contacting her too much, taking her out on expensive dates right away, giving her money, any of this stuff. Like, see, and this is the thing. Since you're a female, you don't understand these dynamics because
woman,
you don't have to deal with women. But for guys, this is a very real dynamic where guys have to come into a relationship and preserve attraction by not being a nice guy, because women don't
That's
respond
not
Nigga said since you're a female, she said I'm a woman.
favorably to nice
true.
guys.
I
What you
have
say you
dated
want versus
men.
what you
Like,
respond
I
to.
can use anecdotal evidence as well. And, you know, when I've dated or spoken to men, I prefer the men who don't give the bullshit rhetoric that you give.
Okay, so you dated nice guys before.
I've dated kind men, yes.
Okay, so where are they now then?
Where are they now? Living their lives?
Hooked. That's the one that gets him every time. They be like, I love a nice guy. Last guy I had was the nicest guy ever. Where the fuck is he at then? Right, his nice ass is at home, thinking about you probably. Stupid fucking bitch.
Exactly.
I
Point
have
proven.
one right now. Like,
Point proven. Like
no, it's not a point proven because
Point
you
proven.
have value differences. Doesn't mean that I said, oh,
Value
wow,
differences.
they're an awful man because they took me out on expensive dates and I feel like that someone should value me less. Like, what? Why is that? Why should I believe that?
that's fine. Look, you don't have to believe what I'm saying.
I know.
Because you're not a man. But once again,
How does that
privilege is
go?
invisible to those that have it. You don't understand what it takes to be attractive as a guy because everything is handed to you as a female. You don't have to worry
Not
about
everything is handed to me as a
approaching,
female.
learning to be attractive, making a bunch of money, having status, having a commanding voice, speaking in the active voice. Like, this is stuff that women don't have to worry about.
Do you
or
think
learn.
I have men at my feet, like paying my rent and, you know, giving me an education and giving me job opportunities?
Well, the point is that you can. You doesn't mean that you're
That's not true.
You okay? Really?
If it were true, every woman would be going through that.
A lot of them do. Now, just because you don't seize the opportunity doesn't mean that other women
And there she goes back into the point that we brought in the beginning. Women will be like, "Well, I don't do that. Just because I don't do that." Like, we know we're not talking about you. We're talking about the generalization, the collective.
don't do it, or better yet, that they don't have the opportunity. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying you can. That's the big distinction. You
Okay.
can.
I have been rage baited by you for about an hour, and your arguments have zero substance. So enjoy
Zero
your
what?
sandwiches.
Zero
I
what you
will
said?
I will be gone.
Okay, there you go. It's triggered women as usual.
Okay, so you say 6 million didn't die. How many do you think died
271K.
the Holocaust?
6 or 7?
Total?
Yeah, 6 or 7, man.
Okay, so if 6 million didn't die, then why did all of the Nazis say, yeah, we did it, we're not sorry, during the Nuremberg trials?
Yeah, well, those were basically a circus. A lot
Talking
of the
about
testimony
all the Jewish Nazis.
was, garnered through bullshit and coercion.
Going through what? They all died afterwards. It's not like they had anything to gain. They all got hung. It's not like they said that and then were let free. They said that and then got hung by the state.
You'd be surprised at how, what you'll admit to when you're being tortured. You know what I mean? This is it's a very real thing. This is why,
And they knew they were going to be dead anyway.
law enforcement agencies can't take informants and or prosecute cases where CIA individuals torture people, right? This is what got John Kirikow put in jail, essentially. But as far as that thing, look, all jokes aside, I'm not saying the Holocaust didn't happen. What I am saying is a lot of the things that we were told about World War II just don't make sense.
What?
And I think that there's nothing wrong with questioning it, investigating, looking into it, but for some odd reason, even looking into it is illegal in like 20 different countries.
But it was investigated and was looked into. That's why it's like one of the most documented events in human history. That's why it's such a strong... The reason there's such a strong consensus that it was around 6 million isn't because we're not investigating it. It's because we did investigate it.
There wasn't even that many Jews in Europe at the time. Let's see what Google says. I knew it. So yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. Not them counting the Soviet Union Jews, the one that were fucking, the ones that was killing the Germans. Wait, watch this. Watch this. Though. Look. Poland and Soviet Union combined. This is what they say: 9.5 million, but over 5.5 million lived in Poland and the Soviet Union combined. That's definitely, that's 2 spots. That's 2 spots. That's 2 spots that had 5.5 million, and one of them didn't kill everybody. So it was about it wasn't that many Jews in fucking Germany to begin with, especially not in Europe.
And that's what like all of the experts came to independently. And I don't think it should be illegal to question it, but it makes sense that questioning it at this point would be considered dumb because we've already reached a consensus.
The Space Jam Triple Treat Box starting at $21.99.
Question it would really be
For
dumb
limited
because
time
we
only
already
at Pizza
reached a
Hut.
consensus. Okay, so why are you crying about it then? If it's dumb, why are you over here crying to me about why I can't question it? Like, you fucking jackass. Question it will be dumb. Why can't we? Why are you questioning it? It's just dumb. So if it's dumb while I'm questioning it, then fuck are you crying to me about it for? If it's so dumb.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Stupid.
Do you think Israel committed genocide in Gaza?
Yes.
Okay. Here's the interesting thing. We watched the genocide happen literally in 1080p 4K. People getting double tapped, kids blowing up, blood and guts everywhere, right? The Israeli government to this day says that it was not a genocide. They deny it. It wasn't a genocide. So
I don't believe in the Holocaust because the Israeli government tells
hold on,
me
let
that
me
it
let me finish
happened,
my
bro.
point. I'm trying to draw like
Okay,
a
okay.
similarity here. So we all saw that a genocide happened in 1080p 4K over 2023, into 2025 for almost 2 years, right? But the Israeli government denies it, says it's not a genocide. We didn't do any war crimes. We didn't starve them, blah, blah, blah. They're denying a genocide when we have irrefutable proof with video and testimony. You don't think that same group of people will lie about an event from the 1940s from which they derive their entire victim narrative from, that they use to prop up their victimhood, that they use to make a bunch of money in Hollywood, that they use anytime someone criticizes them and they say, oh, hey, the Holocaust, the blood libel. Like, if these people can lie to us and deny a genocide in 4K, what makes you think we should believe them when it comes to events in World War II, especially when there's a financial, political, and emotional stimuli for them to tell that story?
So you're
I hate this not example, but when he does this when he uses this like point, because it's not a strong point, but it's like I get it, but it's not a strong point. But let's see what bro says.
saying this same group of people, which you mean Jewish people, I assume.
Yes.
But after World War II, it's not like we knew it was 6 million just because the Jewish people told us that. The Jewish people were dead. The reason we know it was 6 million is
Yeah.
because of all of the other people that
They were
told
talking
us
about
that.
6 million way before the Holocaust. Way before that. That 6 number is extremely popular for them. And then look, I don't mean to be
Like you saying. Yeah. No, I'm trying to figure out. Fuck, I can't find it, guys. But there's like different newspapers that show like how they use 6 million different times throughout the years.
Crude here, but there's
But of
simply
course
weren't
it's hitting
enough
on-
ovens for the cookies.
On Joogle.
It just
course.
Mathematically, it just doesn't
Yeah,
work.
there were gas chambers too. You're acting like there were, first of all, not to be crude, but there were gas chambers. There were Jewish people that were shot in Auschwitz. They didn't even use ovens. There wasn't a crematorium in Auschwitz. They just shot them.
Yeah, but that's what they claim. They got gassed and ovens and everything else like that, and the
That's not
math
what
just
they
doesn't
claim.
add up. And also,
That's what
gassing
the
someone,
Nazis claim.
gassing 6 million people is like
Yeah, man.
That's literally what the Jews claim.
that's number one. That's a counterproductive, costly, and stupid way to kill someone, or to do a mass extermination. That doesn't make sense. When you look at the camps, a lot of them didn't have remnants of the gas that they're talking about. A lot of it was Zyklon B, which was used to delouse. A lot of people died from typhus, not necessarily from being systematically killed. Like, there's just I'll tell you this, because obviously this topic is very controversial, and obviously we're on fucking YouTube. So I'll say this: look up the case of Ernest Zundel. Okay, he went ahead and was passing out pamphlets on the Holocaust and questioning the official narrative. They arrested him for it, and what ended up happening was he went to trial, and he brought in a bunch of different expert witnesses to defend his case, and that ended up showing a lot of the holes and inconsistencies with the official Holocaust narrative. They brought some of these survivors in, and a lot of them came in and said, oh yeah, I was selling a book, I was just using my imagination, So I question everything that comes from that side, because they've lied so much. Here's another one. Do you remember when Israel said that they were burning babies and beheading babies after October 7th?
I believe that happened.
You believe that happened?
No, I believe that they said that.
Oh, you believe that? Do you believe it now?
No, I believe that they said that. I'm not saying I believe that it happened.
Yeah, but
I
you want to know the
believe
crazy
what you're
part?
saying.
That's not true.
Yeah,
So a guy named Yossi Landau, look him up, from the ZAC organization and these other like organizations that they're the first responders when anytime something in Israel happens, because obviously there's like Jewish religious rights to preserving the body and burying it as quickly as possible. He made all of it up, and he admitted it.
Yeah, but that was
on, that's
hold
on.
Years after the Holocaust. That's a different event.
This is my point. I'm trying to establish to you that they have no problem lying to perpetuate their victimhood. He went ahead and said, "Oh, there was 40 beheaded babies. We saw babies in ovens. We saw a woman with a baby cut out of her stomach." Here's the key: those lies were used to push for an aggressive military front against Gaza. Because by the time the truth actually came out, it was too late, and they already had boots on the ground, and they were bombing the fuck out of Gaza.
Okay.
So those lies were directly used to conduct a genocide. So my thing is this: if they could lie about if they could lie to us about a genocide that occurred in front of all of us in 1080p or 4K, if they could lie to us about 40 beheaded babies in 1080p, you don't think they would lie about an event in World War II when there were no cameras?
But again, they weren't the ones who came to the 6 million number. It wasn't a bunch of like.
It was them. They've been reporting 6 million forever.
No, it wasn't just a bunch of.
And if you go to Auschwitz, they've been
reporting
lowering the number.
They're not the ones
every-
that came to 6 million.
If you go to Auschwitz, they've been lowering the number every couple of years.
No,
It
no,
goes
no,
from
no, no.
6 to 3 to 4 to 2.
No, with Auschwitz, the only changing of the number was that when the Soviet Union initially arrived at Auschwitz, they said it was 4 million. But then the United States and the Jewish institutions or whatever actually said, no, it wasn't 4 million. It was closer to like, I think 2 million is the number. So no,
So that's
only
the
lowering
problem.
of, no,
Like,
the-
they're
no,
changing the numbers.
No,
Like,
not they. It was the Soviet Union that said it was 4 million. The Soviet Union said it was 4 million. We changed it to 2 million because that was the correct number. And that was like 80 years ago. It's not like it's lowered every 3 years. That's just not a few years. That's just not true. It was lowered once after the United States arrived at the camp and saw that the Soviet Union was lying about the initial numbers. It's not constantly getting lowered.
here's the thing, bro.
You're just
Again,
making that
we
up.
got to use a little bit of common sense. If they could lie to us in 1080p and 4K, they could lie about beheaded babies. What makes you think they wouldn't lie about an event that they derived their entire victimhood from?
Because using that logic of if they can lie about this, then they can lie about
Yes.
that. You just
That's
lied
how it
about
works.
them lowering it
If you
every
lose your
few years.
credibility, you
so
lose
by
your
that
credibility.
logic, anything you're saying could be a lie because you just lied that they lowered every few years.
They
When
did.
that's not true.
You just
no,
admitted
that's
it.
not true.
Yeah, they did.
They lowered it once after the United States got to the camp.
What?
Look
So
it
they
up.
lowered it.
No, they lowered it once. You say every few years implies multiple times up until now. It was lowered once after the United States initially arrived at the camp. So you just lied. And by your logic,
No,
if you
I
can
did not
lie
lie.
once,
They lowered the number. I told you they lowered the
no,
number.
you said they lowered
And
it
then
every
again,
few years.
This event is literally where they derive all of their victimhood from. So they have an extremely strong incentive to embellish it, to make it look a certain way. Also, I find it interesting how it's literally, this is an illegal topic to talk about in like 20 countries. So why is that? If it's so true and it's ironclad, why is it suppressed? Why is talking about this topic banned on every single social media platform? Why?
Okay,
Why do people that talk about it get banned?
You say it's not allowed on every single social
Got him.
media
But they could
platform.
deny genocide in 1080p.
No, okay, you're saying it's not allowed on any social media platform. You're popular
No, he said in the 20 countries.
because of social media. I don't understand this idea that social media is suppressing all of your ideas when that's how you became popular.
Mainstream platforms, YouTube, TikTok, etc. You can only talk about stuff like this on free speech platforms like Rumble. You can't talk about this topic on YouTube or any of these other Instagram, none of that.
Fresh and Fit is
And there's a
still-
reason for that.
Fresh and Fit is still on YouTube.
Yes, but we've been demonetized for like 3 years.
Well, yeah, it's
So,
obviously not
so that is
advertiser-friendly
censorship.
to talk about how
That
it
is
wasn't
censorship,
6
and we
million.
and we don't even talk about it on YouTube. So the point I'm trying to make is that there's certain topics that are taboo that you can't talk about. You could question that Gaza genocide all day, nobody cares, even though we have irrefutable proof it happened. But if we talk about this event from World War II and we say it's anything less than 6 million, it's a big problem. Again, keep it.
Remember this. There's a thing called the Holocaust denier. Is there a thing called the Super Bowl denier? A fucking 9/11 denier? It sure is a Holocaust. You could be a Holocaust denier, but could you be a Iraq War denier, a Vietnam War denier, Prohibition denier, a feminist denier? What the fuck? Like, how? There's a definite Holocaust denier, though. Yeah. Anyways, appreciate everybody for stopping by. I wanted to do something nice and fun at the end of the stream because, we don't want to, we like listening to the updates, but we don't want to hear the rambling all day. Appreciate the update from Nick, though. But, yeah, nice, easy, fun day. Had ending with Myron at Uncensored with University of Florida. We shall be live Monday. I appreciate everybody. We go only an hour. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. We definitely will be live Monday. So make sure you get them noties up. I will see y'all boys later. Peace.
The bitch shaking it, showing it. You this, you that. We laughing at them together. Oh! So stop treating these mother like they mean something.
Let's go to TikTok.